Have you ever had that feeling? That slow, sinking recognition that you are right back where you started. The name of the person is different. The name of the company is new. But the feeling is identical. It's that same tight knot in your stomach. That same old script playing out in your head. You meet someone wonderful, and for a few weeks, it feels fresh and alive. Then one day, they say something or do something, and a cold wave washes over you. You realize you're having the exact same argument you had in your last relationship. Or you start a new job, full of hope, determined that this time will be different. And for a while, it is. But then the familiar dynamic begins to creep in. That one colleague who undermines you. That boss who never sees your value. That crushing feeling of being overworked and underappreciated. And you think to yourself, here we go again. It's like being haunted. Not by a ghost, but by a situation, a feeling, a pattern that follows you no matter how far you run. We're taught to see this as bad luck or a personal failing. We think, what's wrong with me? Why does this always happen to me? But what if it's not bad luck at all? And what if it has nothing to do with you being broken? Think of it this way. Imagine your life is a radio, and a certain station is stuck on repeat, playing the same sad song over and over. It's not a punishment, it's just a broadcast. Reality is simply playing the signal you're sending out, and it will keep playing it until you decide to get up and change the station. This recurring broadcast, this pattern, is what some people call karma. But let's take that word and strip away all the heavy ideas of cosmic judgment and punishment. Let's look at it in a much simpler, more mechanical way. Karma isn't a debt you have to pay. It's a contract you forgot you signed. It's an old agreement, an unconscious instruction that you are still running in the background of your life. Imagine when you were very young, you went through something powerful, something that hurt or scared you, or left you feeling alone. In that moment of intense emotion, your consciousness, trying to protect you, made a decision. It wrote a new rule for survival. Maybe the rule was, I can't trust anyone completely because they will always leave. Or, I have to be perfect in everything I do, otherwise I won't be loved. Or maybe, there is never enough, so I must always hold on tightly to what I have. These weren't just thoughts, they were declarations. You signed an invisible contract with reality based on that one painful experience, and the universe, which is a neutral and obedient mirror, said, okay, contract accepted, and it began reflecting that rule back to you in every area of your life. It started bringing you people who would test your trust and eventually leave. It put you in situations where you felt you had to be perfect just to be accepted. It created financial scenarios that always seemed to leave you just short, reinforcing the belief in scarcity. This isn't a cosmic test, it's a feedback loop. It's like a subscription you forgot you canceled, and the charge just keeps showing up on your statement, month after month, year after year. You keep paying for it with your peace, your energy, and your happiness. So the first step in closing this contract isn't to fight it. It's not to struggle or try to force a change. You can't cancel a subscription if you don't even know which one it is. The first step is simply to find the paperwork. It's to make the invisible contract visible. For the next few days, I want you to become a detective of your own life. Your only job is to observe, to watch for the pattern. Don't judge it. Don't try to fix it. Just notice it. And this is where a simple tool, like a notebook or a file on your phone, becomes incredibly powerful. This isn't about writing a diary of your feelings. This is about collecting evidence. You are a scientist in the lab of your own life, and you are simply gathering data. When that familiar, sinking feeling arises, I want you to pull out your notebook and just write down 3 things. 1. What was the trigger? What just happened? Maybe your friend canceled plans, or you saw an unexpected bill, or someone gave you a funny look. Be specific. 2. What was the immediate feeling? Describe the physical sensation. A tightness in your chest, a flush of heat in your face, a sudden feeling of exhaustion. And 3. What was the first thought, the story that started playing in your head? See? Nobody cares. I'm going to lose everything. I'm such an idiot. Write it down, word for word. That's it. You're not analyzing it. You're not trying to reframe it. You are just mapping the edges of this invisible contract. You're learning to recognize its signature, its unique flavor in your life. After just a few days of doing this, something amazing begins to happen. The pattern starts to lose its power over you. Why? Because it can no longer hide in the shadows of your unconscious mind. By observing it without judgment, you are bringing it into the light of your awareness. You're separating yourself from the reaction. You're no longer the person drowning in the story. You're the person standing on the riverbank, watching the story float by. This simple act of seeing is the most crucial first step. It is the beginning of you taking your power back. You're not breaking the contract yet. You are simply reading the terms and conditions for the very first time. You are seeing with clarity the unconscious rules you've been living by. And once you can see the rules, you can begin to change them. By the way, our shared space of light and awareness is on its way to 100,000 people. Thank you to everyone who subscribes and brings this moment closer. Once you've gathered this evidence, once you've seen the pattern clearly and consistently, a new question naturally arises, a question that holds the key to the next step. What do you do once you've read the contract? How do you officially close it so the broadcast finally stops and a new song can begin to play? That is where the real work begins. So, you have the contract in your hands. You've read the fine print. You see the pattern, the trigger, and the old, painful story that automatically plays. Now, how do you officially terminate the agreement? It's simpler and gentler than you might think. You don't do it with force or anger or resistance. Resisting the pattern is like trying to cancel a subscription by yelling at the magazine when it arrives in your mailbox. It doesn't work. The system doesn't understand your anger. It only understands the instruction it was given. To cancel the subscription, you have to send a clear message back to the source, using the language it understands. In the architecture of reality, the language of completion is gratitude. Now, hold on. This is not about pretending you enjoyed the pain. It's not about spiritual bypassing or forcing yourself to feel thankful for the suffering. That's not what this is. Gratitude, in this context, is a mechanism. It is the official signature that closes a loop of experience. Think of it this way. For years, reality has been delivering a package to you. The package contains a lesson your soul wanted to learn. The lesson might have been about setting boundaries, or about your own worth, or about learning to let go. But the packaging was painful. It was wrapped in heartbreak, or failure, or betrayal. For years, you've been refusing the delivery, leaving it on the doorstep, hoping it would go away. but it just keeps coming back because it's addressed to you. The act of gratitude is you finally walking to the door, taking the package, and signing for it. You're not saying, "Thank you for this horrible box." You are saying, "Message received. I accept the contents." This is the ritual. Find a quiet moment. Close your eyes and bring to mind the pattern, the contract you want to close. Feel the weight of it. Then speak these words, or words that feel true to you, out loud. To the experience of feeling abandoned, or unworthy, or not good enough, I see you. I acknowledge the lesson you brought me. Through you, I learned about my own strength. Through you, I learned compassion. Through you, I learned what I will no longer accept. The lesson is now complete. I have received the message, and for that, I am grateful. Our business is concluded. You are thanking the experience for the wisdom it forged in you, no matter how brutal the fire was. In that moment, you are extracting the gold from the mud, and by doing so, you neutralize the emotional energy that has been fueling the pattern for years. The emotional charge is the ink in the contract. Gratitude is the solvent that dissolves it. The contract is now officially closed. But here's the thing. Just because the contract is canceled doesn't mean the old delivery driver won't show up out of habit. The pathways in your brain, the old reactions, are still there. They are like well-worn grooves in a road. Your thoughts will naturally want to follow them. This is the second part of the process, consciously choosing to build a new road. After you have performed your gratitude ritual, the very next time the old trigger appears, and it will, you will have a choice. A tiny, precious window of opportunity opens up between the trigger and your usual reaction. In that space, you must intentionally do something different. Let's say your contract was about not being heard. The trigger is someone interrupting you in a meeting. The old reaction is to shut down, feel invisible, and replay the story of how no one values your opinion. But now, with the contract closed, you have a choice. In that moment, you can take a breath. You can choose to simply stay present. Maybe your new action is to calmly wait for them to finish and then say, as I was saying. Maybe your new action is to do nothing at all on the outside, but on the inside, you say to yourself, "Interesting. There's the old trigger. I see it. But I am not that story anymore." This tiny act of interruption is everything. You are a pioneer laying down the first section of a new railroad track. The first time is the hardest. It will feel unnatural, even scary. But every time you make that new choice, you are strengthening the new pathway. You are teaching your own consciousness a new way to live, one moment at a time. This is not about making a huge, dramatic change overnight. It's about the quiet, consistent discipline of choosing a different thought, a different response, a different inner story, right in the heat of the moment. And finally, the most beautiful part, you start to watch your reality respond. This isn't about blind faith. It's about observation. You're still the detective, but now you're looking for different evidence. You're looking for proof of the contract's cancellation. And you will find it. You'll notice that the specific kind of person who always triggered you just doesn't seem to show up in your life as often. You'll realize you haven't had that particular draining argument in months. The financial crises that used to happen like clockwork, they start to fade away. Life doesn't become perfect. New challenges will arise. But that one specific, recurring, soul-crushing problem that has haunted you for years begins to lose its grip. It's like the universe sees you've learned the lesson and says, "Good. We can move on to the next subject now." You have, by your own conscious choice, closed one door, and in doing so, you have created a vacuum. You have created an empty space in your life where the old drama used to live. And the nature of this reality is to fill empty space. Into that space, something new will begin to flow. A new kind of relationship, a new opportunity, a feeling of peace you haven't felt in years. You're not just ending an old karmic story. You are creating the space for a new one to begin. If this video changed something in you, write in the comments, "I am closing the contract." Write it as your promise. Nobody